Charles Fredrick Worth. If you've never heard of him, he's literally considered the father of Haute Couture. Okay, he was born in 1825, and his house is called the House of Worth. Within the lesson plan, you'll see that I have some examples of his work there, and you'll sort of see some of the things that he was known for. But I also wanted to show you guys some images from a book dedicated to him. If you guys can see this, it's called The House of Worth, and it states the birth of Haute Couture. You can show you some of his pieces here. You can sort of see some of his work. Fredrick Worth's pieces were extremely intricate. He often designed for high society, and he was known for several things. First of all, he was known for the mutton sleeve. And that sleeve, funny enough, if you read your notes, it was called that because it was named after an animal leg. So if you want to visualize for a second, an animal leg has sort of like the wider upper part and a more narrow lower part. If you think about a mutton sleeve, if you look in the notes, there's an example, you'll see that sort of being replicated. Worth was also someone that pioneered the sort of flat-fronted, bustle back look that you see in a lot of 19th century garments. When we look at a lot of historical films, we see that look. He was one of the designers that pioneered that look. He was also one of the first designers to actually sort of give that whole designer aesthetic its first steps, meaning he was the first person to sort of like put his name inside of a garment and hold fashion shows where he used actual live models to model the design. So he was one of the first designers to actually do that. Prior to that, you just had dressmakers making for one-on-one clients. Okay. Charles also pioneered what we know as crinoline. So crinoline is what we use, and what we'll cover is what you see in a lot of garments. Crinoline was normally something that was much longer, maybe a little bit difficult for the wearer to walk in. So he pioneered a style that was shorter and easier to walk in, so that anytime you're innovative in that kind of way, you're definitely going to have a popularity surge, and he did. But he also made really beautiful dresses. Here's another one of his works that I got from the book. You'll see here. He was big on tons of pleating and a lot of draping and intricate patterns and these beautiful fabrics that he used. They were very feminine. They were very beautiful. He also sort of perfected, as I said, the bustle. So what is a bustle? If you look inside your notes, you'll see that I have example of the more traditional bustle and what we know in the 19th century fashion. And that was this sort of adding of the backside to some women. And that was seen as a fashion. I mean, we've looked over as fashion has evolved over the years, and we see that some things that we choose to accentuate, and that was something that was accentuated during the 19th century. It was the adding of the back bustle. It was seen as very royal and elite. So he was somebody that really perfected that. And if you look here, you'll see some bustle techniques. And these were just basically add-ons that would create that sort of hump, one might call it, in the back of the gown. So before I became more initiated to fashion design and sort of like the structure of garments, I just assumed it came within the dress or the person had a big backside. It didn't dawn on me until I began to understand garment construction that these designs were specifically made, and that's what we'll begin to understand as we go through this process, that a lot of fashion and better made garments has a lot to do with the internal structure of a dress. And these are just a few of his works. I've also included in the glossary and some other materials where you can get this book. I got mine from the library. It's just something very beautiful to sort of see some of these very intricate designs. Okay. He dies in 1895. His sons do carry on his legacy a little bit. Unfortunately, the Worth House did not sustain itself. Although we talk about him a lot now, it did not sustain itself. So it doesn't have an actual present day presence, but it is very intricate and very integral part of fashion history. Again, you can't say couture without mentioning Charles Fredrick Worth. And if you look at some of his designs, if you wanted to do more research into him, you'll see why his designs were so, they resonated even till this day because they were so beautifully done. A lot of the work was done by hand. And also his innovations as far as using live models in order to display his works, and also putting his name inside of some of his dresses. So that is Charles Fredrick Worth, the father of Haute Couture. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Videos are uploaded weekly covering dressmaking, fashion, lectures, and more. Enroll in Lady Cloth U on Teachable for dressmaking and fashion design courses. See you again soon.